course, Lewis is out of contract at the end of the year. Let's bring in Craig Slater, who joins as well. Craig, yeah, look, currently, if you believe what you read, it's about 40 million US a year for Lewis to retain his services in this current climate. I mean, what do you think? What are you hearing on the grapevine about whether they're going to continue?
Well, I'm sure whatever he's paid, he's proved over the last few years he's worth every penny. And yes, people will ask questions about how appropriate it is to pay anyone that kind of money. What I would say about Lewis Hamilton is during this current period of the coronavirus crisis, he has kept in touch with the factory. He's shown great concern about the workforce, what sort of situation they're in. He's wanted to be involved in any conversations, whether they'd be in any kind of jeopardy about being paid and that kind of things. We haven't heard anything about that, but it shows the level of responsibility he brings to that team. There were one or two suggestions and one or two newspaper articles that his dream move would be to Ferrari to finish his career there. Well, he was quite vehement that it wasn't the case, wasn't he, recently? He said on social media, first of all, there is no dash to another team. I am with my dream team. I am not trying to move. I'm with the people who have cared from day one. I suppose the other thing you'd think about, especially when you've listened to an interview like that, is do they come as a pair, Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff? There's been considerable interest in Wolff's acquisition of Aston Martin shares. Some people have wondered whether that was part of an exit strategy from Mercedes. Wolff has said absolutely not the case. That is purely a business decision. They will be watered down. They'll be worth less than 1% of Aston Martin when a share issue is arranged within that company. But I suppose the one conflict, and I spoke off camera to Toto Wolff after that interview he arranged with Martin and Lewis there, and asked them about what about the attractions long term of focusing more on the business world again, because there was Sir Jim Ratcliffe there, the boss of Ineos, someone worth £20 billion. Toto, do you not fancy emulating someone like that? And he did say, honestly, I wake up every day, I do ask myself that kind of question. But then he said, I recognise the work we're doing here at Mercedes right now is very important. He, like Lewis Hamilton, still thinks he's got a sporting legacy to fully fulfil and cement.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the success that they've had, you'd have to say that you're going to be in demand in whatever shape or form that is. But let's move on. And again, I wonder if the FIA presidency is something that might be attractive to Toto Wolff. But we should consider what's going on at Ferrari right now. If I could just do that with Karun. Karun, just before we go to the break, yeah, I mean, what are you hearing about Vettel? There was talk that he'd turned down a contract extension at about a third of his salary for next year. Do you think he's going to be a Scuderia driver in 2021?
My personal belief is that I think he will for 2021, but mainly because of this delay. You know, it's given him 6 months to just have a reset and not be under pressure. I think for 21, I expect him to be there. For 22, I'm not so sure, because you got the likes of Sainz, you got Ricciardo, people like that banging on the door of what is one of the top 3 cars on the grid. And you'd expect Ferrari, with whatever the regulation changes, to still be a top 3 team. And yeah, he's got to have his work cut out. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does have to take a big wage cut, because at the end of the day, they've got Leclerc there now, who is their future star. And they don't really need to be paying Sebastian as much as they did in the past.